Welcome back, everybody. Here we are with episode 2 with Coach Currens Corner. I am your host, Luke Currens. In today's episode, I'm going to give a little bit of a background into my coaching career, how I actually got into coaching track and field specifically, and then kind of my own personal experience with running track. And so, like I said, grew up in Ohio. All I knew was sports growing up, came from a very athletic family. My dad was an All American in college with hurdling. And then my mom was very involved with gymnastics and cheerleading. And she had a great deal of speed as well, from what I've been told. And she just never ran track. So that's kind of a bummer. But my brother and sister both ran track, both ran hurdles, played a variety of different sports. And so that's kind of all we knew growing up. But I remember falling in love with hurdling when I was in the 6th grade and never stopped. I don't know what it was, but I just loved hurdling. And when your dad was an All American coaching you how to hurdle, you listen because he did something right. And so, growing up, hurdled through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then once I got to high school, the hurdles move up to 39 inches. And so, picture this if you will. I'm 5 foot tall, trying to run over 39-inch hurdles. Unbelievable. I don't know how I did it. It was quite the scene, just seeing this little guy just kind of bunny hop over the hurdles. And so it took me a while to kind of develop and grow and mature. And so that didn't happen until my junior year, essentially in high school. And that's when I really started to see my times drop and got stronger, got faster, and had a great high school experience with running track. And one of the reasons was my dad was my coach. And it was an awesome experience because not only did I have my dad coaching, but, he taught all of his athletes so many great life lessons. And that's something that I've carried with me to this day. And I know myself and a lot of my buddies that I talked to that were on the track team, I know that they appreciate it as well. And so what was unique, though, was my dad did a very good job of balancing how to be a coach when we're at the track, but then also how to be a dad when we're at home. And so he did such a phenomenal job doing that, and I'm so appreciative of him for doing that in the way that he did, because it gave me insight on kind of how I coach and what I want to do with coaching when my kids grow up. And so he was a huge inspiration as to why I got into coaching, and he pushed me no different than any other kid on the team. He didn't treat me with any favoritism just because I was his son. And there were times he would get on me, and I love him for it because it made me better. And so if you're an athlete listening, if a coach gets on you, chances are they love you enough and care enough about you to really get you to that next level. And so he did that for me. But when we got home, we were father son, and it was just an amazing time. Um, had some big dreams and goals my senior year of high school track. Came up short. I won't go into every single detail about it, but I missed qualifying for state by 0.03 seconds in the 110 hurdles, which was wild. And to give you an idea of how fast some of the times were, my time at regional finals would have placed me fourth at the state meet a week later. And so it was just a really, really fast day, and ran my PR. So can't complain, but came up a little short, and it was pretty devastating. And so ended up getting a scholarship to run college track at Taylor University, as well as got a scholarship to play football. And so as you can imagine, playing both sports in college is very demanding of my time and energy. But looking back, I wouldn't have traded it for the world. And I learned so many great qualities of what it actually means to persevere. And I learned that a lot of hard ways, and got to know a lot of great people along the way, loved my coaches, and found success towards the end of my career, specifically with track and field. And so first 2 years, again, I'm not tall. I'm maybe 5'10", and trying to hurdle now even 42 inches, so 3 inches higher than what they were in high school, was a really, really big jump. And it took me a couple years to really get comfortable going over the hurdles. But, I really pushed myself and I really spent time trying to develop the skill set necessary to be successful. And I'm a very competitive guy. I don't like to lose. We didn't lose much in high school with track and field, and I just don't like losing. I almost hate losing more than I love to win, if that makes sense. And so junior year, I was set out to try to have the best year possible. And that's when I took a strength and conditioning class for my major. And I was like blown away by what I was reading, by some of the coaches I was starting to study, what they were doing with some of their athletes. And I was like, I want to start trying this stuff on my own. And so started lifting 1 to 2 times a week during track season, implemented a ton of plyometric training, and it paid off. Had big dreams and goals of being an All-American. I wanted to place in conference and just really try to be at the top level of, uh, our division, so to speak, of college. And so was able to qualify for outdoor nationals. And long story short, placed sixth and was an All-American my junior year. And I was proud. It's a proud moment when you put in so much time and energy and to reach a goal that you had set for yourself and to achieve it, right? And so, and not in an arrogant way was I proud, but it was relieving to know that all of the hard work paid off. And so come back senior year, have even bigger goals and dreams. Really wanted to be top five in the nation my senior year, and so uh, got to conference my senior year and actually got a very bad stomach virus. We didn't know what it was. They thought something was wrong with my kidneys. I couldn't keep food down. I lost 10 pounds in 5 days. And all the while, I was still training and still lifting because I just wanted to get there. Um, Looking back, I probably shouldn't have done any of that because I think it actually hurt me more than it helped me. And so didn't have a super great stretch of about 2 or 3 weeks of hurdling, and competition wise, I just wasn't there. I just was weak. I didn't have the same same type of pop that I had in my step. And so senior year, I did qualify for nationals. And at the meet, there were 4 heats. I think I was coming in seated like 21st. And I was like, okay, I know what I got to do to get to finals. It was top two of each heat, and then the next two fastest make finals. And then everyone who made finals was All American. So I was like, I just got to get to finals. And so I was in the second heat. Ran my best time of the year. It wasn't my fastest ever, but considering what I had been through, I was happy with it. And heat three, they were flying. I was like, oh boy. I saw some of their times. I was like, dang, these boys are moving. And then heat four comes around. And at this point, I am sitting fifth. And so I'm like, okay, I know the next two guys that win this heat, they're going to be in. And so that's going to put me at seventh place. I'm like, okay, I got a good shot. First two guys go, and their times were just blazing. I was like, holy smokes. And then the third place guy, he ran faster than me. So I'm like, okay, I'm sitting eighth place, and I'm just watching the names and the times come up. And the guy that got fourth in the heat ran point zero 0.01 faster than my time. And so I missed being a two-time All-American, missed finals by point zero 0.01 seconds. And so those of you guys who run track, you understand how small of a margin that is. And I was heartbroken. I was I was devastated because it was again all the time and energy you put into this, coming over a stomach virus, and to get to the point I did, to come up short, it's hard. And so looking back on that time, I know why I went through those particular instances, because now when some of my athletes come up short, I know how to coach them and really encourage them through some difficult times. And so um, graduated, like I said in episode one, moved down to Charlotte and got connected with a local high school while I was at the sports performance facility. And they were looking for a hurdle coach. And so was the hurdle coach for the high school called Marvin Ridge High School down in Charlotte, and was super grateful for my time down there. Coached a lot of great athletes. Was able to coach two state champions in the hurdles. One was a female. She ran a low 43 in the 300 hurdles, and then was able to coach a guy who went 14-1 in the 110 hurdle. So those times are fast. But they put in so much time and energy. They were so coachable. I loved every second of being a coach for the hurdle crew down there, as well as a lot of the sprinters for the team. And so learned a lot at being young, coming right out of college. I learned a lot about training. I learned more about what my training philosophy was. I was kind of stepping into, okay, what am I looking to become as a coach, and what can I do for myself to better my knowledge with the sport? How can I actually push my athletes to get faster? And so, kind of, watched the head coach down there, see how he did things, kind of compared it with what my dad coached us with in high school, kind of meshed the two. And then when it was my second year there, is when I stumbled upon a couple coaches with a total different philosophy when it comes to sprint training. And Tony Holler was one of them, Chris Corfist. I stumbled upon Cal Dietz, who was a very well known strength and conditioning coach. And so when I found those guys, I was headfirst trying to learn as much as I could. And, when I found them, that's when I started implementing a lot of just really fast sprinting workouts. And that's when I was able to coach those two state champions, is when I started to kind of scale back on how much we were doing and implement more of the speed-based feed the cats, so to speak, workouts. And so I was down there for 2 or 3 years, and then we moved back up to West Michigan in Holland in 2017. Got connected with Holland High School, which is where my wife went. Was a sports performance coach there for a couple years. Was strictly just doing weightlifting, but I implemented a lot of the same concepts and ideas with Feed the Cats in the weight room, and did a ton of speed training with the athletes. And so loved my time there as well. Got to know a lot of different athletes. Being the head strength coach, you bring in a ton of different sports, right? And so it was fun to see the results and benefits of the training with not only the track folks, but everyone else involved as well. And so didn't coach track my first year there, and I knew something was missing. It's kind of a hole in my coaching heart, so to speak, and I wanted that filled. And so the next year, helped out with the hurdlers and some of the sprinters, and then was the sprints coach in the year of 2019. And so had a really cool year that year. Um, Brought some kids on that had never run track before. I got a golf kid who was coming into our winter workouts, got him to join the track team, and he ended up being our fastest kid. And it was really cool because who knew that this golfer was extremely fast? And so um, we ended up, for the guys team, we ended up breaking a 20-year-old 4x1 record that year. And it wasn't blazing by any stretch of imagination, but for those guys to get a school record for coming out for track for their first year, it was so cool. And the girls as well. We had a really good 4x1 team for the girls team. They broke I think a 30-year-old record. And so it was cool to kind of see how the results showed up with my philosophy of training, just strictly speed. And that's when I kind of started solidifying kind of my philosophy of how I coach and how I train, both on the track and then in the weight room. And so COVID hit. I was kind of looking to kind of take a step up, so to speak, with my coaching, and really dive into just coaching track and field. And so um, in 2021 is when I got connected with West Ottawa High School, which is where I'm at currently, coaching both the guys and the girls with the sprints and the relays. And so first year I got there, guys team was about 40 to 45 guys. So not super big. It's a school of over 2,000 kids. And so they hadn't won a track meet in, I think, 3 years. And the first year um, I got there, I was trying to get kids excited, trying to get them to realize how awesome the sport of track and field is. And we won our first meet that year in 3 years. And so that was um, awesome. It was great for the guys to get some taste of winning. And me personally speaking, growing up with all I knew was winning, I want these guys to experience that. And that's just something that I try to bring every single day, as a little bit of a competitive and fire that is healthy to want to be great at what you do. And so, on the guy side, that's kind of the first year. On the girl side, we kind of had a hodgepodge of sprinters, and we put them all together and actually qualified a um, 4x1 relay to state, which was really sweet. And we had a really strong runner. She was a senior. She ended up running mid 12s, I think, by the end of the year, which was pretty phenomenal. And we broke, I think, the oldest record on the school board or on the school record board for track and field for the 4x1. And they ended up placing 13th at state that year. And so, first year in there, really trying to implement kind of my philosophy with both guys and girls with sprint training. Um, and the results were there. And it was pretty cool to see how quickly kids started buying into the philosophy. And so that next year, this is 2022. Um, our guys team, I think, had 85 guys. So we nearly doubled our track team, which was awesome. It was a goal to really get the numbers up and then try to find some diamonds in the rough with some of the sprinters, so to speak. And so that year of 2022, we sent a 4x2 relay. We sent a 4x4 relay to state, which hadn't been done in I don't know how many years. And, I think those results is what gets kids excited about track, and kids who never run track are starting to hear more about, okay, these guys are actually going to the highest level for high school athletics, and they get to compete at the highest level. And I know a lot of people that play sports in high school, and a lot of young athletes, they have big dreams and goals of wanting to get to the highest level. And we're starting to push kids there on the guy side. And that was something that was really cool to see. And then on the girl side, we kind of had a down year, kind of a rebuild, so to speak. Didn't have anything flashy happen. We didn't send anybody to state that year, but we had a lot of great life learning experiences, which the girls that are still here now are better off for it. And they understand what it takes to get to that next level. And it's hard at a young age to experience success right away and then kind of expect it to happen again next year without putting much effort into it, if that makes sense. And so they learned the hard way, which is great because sometimes to learn the best lessons, you have to go through it, and it sucks, but you're going to be better off for it because you understand what it actually takes to get there. And so 2023, that was last year's track season. We actually sent a guys 4x2 relay to indoor nationals, and something that we really pushed hard last indoor season was to really just start training. And in order to be successful in May and June, you have to start training in December. And our guys and girls are started to buy into that last winter and have really come around this year. I mean, we have the biggest numbers yet on both sides, which is amazing. And we pushed for it though. We had to get them to understand that you can't just snap your finger and expect speed to just show up. That's just not how it works. With the way that I train these kids, you just can't expect to show up, and just because you're fast doesn't mean you're just going to automatically go out and just run blazing times. And so they understood that. They kind of came around to the idea of, okay, we actually need to put in some time and effort into becoming great sprinters, because sprinting is a skill, just like shooting a basketball, swinging a golf club. Sprinting is a skill, and there's technique to it. And so we have to refine our technique in order to be better. And so pushed them hard last indoor season. And like I said, we had a 4x2 qualify for indoor nationals, which was amazing. And so definitely was excited for the guys side last year, just because I knew who we had. I knew we had a couple kids that were coming out for the first time that had some really good speed. And so, guys started off pretty hot with some of the relays. Some of our open times were pretty good. And by midway through the season, I think we had 8 to 10 guys that were running under 12 seconds. And so we had some low 11s, some mid 11s, and some high 11s. And to have 8 to 10 of that in year 3 of coaching, that's what you want to see in a program. It's just the progression of guys slowly getting faster and faster. And so we started seeing that. We sent a 4x1, a 4x2, and a 4x4 to state last year. And our 4x2 had quite the experience trying to get there. Long story short, on our last exchange, our outgoing runner runs into the guy that's kind of hip hinging him in his lane and falls. We don't get the baton. We didn't handle the situation very well, to be honest. Luckily enough for us, we were able to run by ourselves right before the 2 mile of this meet at regionals. We were able to run on air. We basically just ran for time, qualified for the time. So our seat time wasn't super great. We had run a 1:28.2, I think it was, um, the week before at conference, and so we knew we could run fast. And I think we went 1:30.0 or something. And so seat time going into state wasn't great. The last heat is always the fast heat, and so I think we were in heat 1 or 2. Ended up running a high 1:28 or low 1:29, something like that. Got eighth place, and so considering everything that happened, um, we were really looking to push top three in the state with that relay, and ended up getting eighth. So kind of a bummer. 4x1, we ended up getting fifth at state. Um, I was happy with that. Again, all of our seeds were higher than what our actual outcome was. And the lesson that these guys learned was none of that matters when you get to state. Okay, you can't even look at seeds. And I don't even like looking at seed times because I know people are going to rise to the occasion and I know people are going to fall. And right now we're trying to coach our guys on what it actually means to rise to that next level of competing. And so, yeah, guys, 4x1, we got fifth. So that was great. And then our 4x4, we just didn't run well. We couldn't put all the pieces together to be successful. And it left me heartbroken. I had just a pit in my stomach for the next week, for those guys, and just all the time and energy, again, you put into something, and just to not have it come all the way through is tough. On the girls' side, we started seeing a lot of great progression through late season. Specifically, we had one meet. It was on the other side of the state. Probably one of my favorite meets I've been to, just specifically with the girls' team. We took our top sprinters, and best memory was we had 5 girls that ran in 27 seconds. And so we're not lighting the track on fire, but we hadn't had 2 girl sprinters go in the 27, and we had 5 last year, and then we ended up having a girl go 26 last year. And so as the year went on, our girls kept getting faster. They kept getting more confident in themselves. They started to see the results of putting in a lot of time and effort into our training, and we ended up actually qualifying a 4x1 to state. We just missed a 4x2, which was, again, heartbreaking for those girls. But for the 4x1, we ended up qualifying, and we broke the school record that we broke 2 years ago. We broke it at state and placed 11th. And so I was so jacked up for those girls. It was awesome to see them run their absolute best. And hopefully for the senior girls, they had a great experience and just enjoyed their track time at West Ottawa. And so here we are. It's 2024. We are currently in the middle of our winter training so far. From the guy side, we're just looking to, kind of climb the mountain, so to speak, and get to that next level. And so we're not, my philosophy, and I'll get into this maybe in more episodes to come, of what I'm trying to switch up a little bit, but we're starting to see some really cool results. We have quite a few guys qualified for the Open 60, for the Open 200. We have a 4x4 that's qualified. We have a 4x2 that is going to run here in the next weekend or so, and hopefully qualify them. And then for the girls' side, we got um, a couple girls that are qualified for the Open 60 and a couple other events as well. And so we're really looking to push the needle forward this upcoming season with track and field. And so that's kind of where my track journey has been as far as a coach. I love it. I love being able to coach not only the sport, but then with track, there's so much downtime that you get to know these kids on a personal level. And again, for me, just with what I believe in, I believe God has placed me at that school to really be a light for him, and to really show kids who have maybe not even experienced the love of Jesus. I'm hoping and praying that I can be a person for them that they can see, hey, what's different? And my answer is always going to be it's Jesus, and that's why I do what I do. I'm never going to shy away from it. I'm never going to be ashamed of it, and that's kind of why I want to start this too, is because I can talk about it here, and I'm not afraid to. Um, in a public school setting, you kind of have some hoops to jump around, so to speak, and so that's a big reason as to why I want to start this, is because I want to be able to share what I'm passionate about outside of track and things that I care about, things that I think are important. Um, but as far as my coaching career, that's kind of where I am right now. Again, looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be special, and I'm hoping to really take it to the next level with some of these guys and girls and just see what they can do. But again, if you're watching this, you know that you got to put in the work. It ain't just going to show up. And you have to be diligent and motivated and dedicated every single day of the week on what you're supposed to do to get to that next level. Right. And so I appreciate you guys listening, tuning in. Um, you know, trying to really record some episodes early on. That way I can kind of get ahead of myself on what I'm trying to achieve with some of these episodes that are coming up. And so stay tuned for the next episodes. We are going to be, keeping you up to speed with how training's going in the indoor, as well as diving more into my training philosophy and how that's kind of changed. And so, again, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode.